held annually by the leaders of the 7 states of France, the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, Japan, Italy, and Canada, in order of rotating presidency, and the European Union. The G7 summit started in the 1970s, when leaders gathered to discuss policy coordination in response to the economic crises of the time. Since then, the importance of the G7 has further grown as a forum for discussing the global economy, regional affairs, and various global issues of the time. In 2023, as the G7 presidency, Japan will host the G7 Hiroshima Summit. It is significant that the G7 leaders will gather for discussions in Hiroshima, a city which has recovered from the catastrophic damage caused by an atomic bomb and continues to seek lasting world peace.
今日国際社会はコロナ禍に見舞われ、また国際秩序を根幹から揺るがすロシアによるウクライナ侵略に直面し、歴史的な転換期を迎えつつあります。力による一方的な現状変更の試みや核兵器による威嚇、その使用を断固として拒否し、法の支配に基づく国際秩序を守り抜く G7 議長として議論を牽引し、こうした G7 の強い意志を歴史に残る重みを持って
You know, they tell you that they're meeting and they tell you that these are the topics they're going to discuss, but there's no cameras in the room. You know, that's what's one of the amazing things about this. These are our elected officials, quote unquote, wink, wink, selected officials around the world who all meet together, and then they give you a list of the topics they're going to discuss, but we really know the topics they'll be discussing. But they do give you a little bit on the surface, of course, of what they will talk about. And this is the G7 summit, of course. The focus, or the name of it, is Hiroshima. Wow, what a coincidence, right? With all the propaganda going on about nukes. Now, most of you actually don't believe in nukes. I'm indifferent about it. I don't really care either way because, you know what I mean? At this point, I mean, their food supply chain, everything else that's going on, I mean, whatever, if it's real or it's not real. But most people believe that they're not real. I wouldn't disagree with that argument. But they're using Hiroshima for obvious reasons. They name Hiroshima because they want to put that seed in people's heads, right? So they set off some type of bombs or bombs all over. They show you some type of fake stuff on the news and tell you that a nuke went off. Because all we hear is rumors of nukes, right? From Russia and China, et cetera, America. So what a coincidence that Hiroshima is the place, you know, is where it's taking place, right? Isn't that a huge coincidence? I mean, do they really think we're born yesterday? Oh, right, most of society is born yesterday. So I'm going to get into the story about, you know, who's going to be there, et cetera, but I want to read to you what they're releasing as far as the issues to be addressed, because it's pretty funny. Of course, Ukraine is one of the you know, issues, and it's funny too because every single one of these events, they pretty much release the same exact thing. So nuclear disarmament is one of the topics, economic resilience and economic security. Then of course we get to climate and energy. It says, while the importance of ensuring energy security is reaffirmed in the face of Russia's aggression against Ukraine, the goal of achieving net zero by 2050 based on the Paris Agreement remains unchanged. The G7 will show its blueprint for various pathways towards resilient transitions, noting different national and regional circumstances while calling on major emitters to make further efforts. And then they go on to talk about food, you know, the deliberate sabotaging of our food supply. They say, given the current food crisis, it is urgently needed to ensure access to affordable, safe, nutritious food for all and to develop resilient food security. To this end, the G7 will identify structural vulnerabilities in the global food system and set pathways to overcome them while addressing pressing food issues in the short term. So, I mean, they're going to talk about how they were, you know, derailing trains, making sure they weren't carrying fertilizer to farmers. They want to talk about how they told farmers to burn their crops that they would pay them. They want to talk about the fact that they're making things so expensive. They want to talk about the fact some people can't buy food. They want to talk about the fact that they create, you know, the avian flu. They're just telling everyone there's an avian flu so they can just slaughter chickens. Or do they want to talk about how it was so hot last year that they were slaughtering cattle? Do they want to tell us that we're not supposed to eat cattle and stuff because carbon emissions? So pretty much what they're saying is they're going to figure out more ways to convince the suckers out there that they should be eating bugs. That makes sense, right? Then they go on to talk about health, you know, and how important it is to strengthen the global health architecture, especially prevention, preparedness, and response to future pandemics and pandemics. And of course, by that, they pretty much mean, you know, the passport, the health passport, whatever you want to call it, the universal passport, which of course is to monitor all of these types of things, as well as the technology that they want to, you know, eventually by 2030 get inside of people's bodies so that they can monitor, oh, we're monitoring your red blood cells and your white blood cells. Don't mind that we're altering your DNA. Excuse me. So they say, in addition, the G7 aims to contribute to achieving more resilient, equitable, and sustainable universal health coverage, as well as promoting health innovation to address various health challenges. And then they go development towards achieving all, excuse me, all the goals of the 2030 agenda. Oh, great. So they want to make sure they're working towards achieving all the goals of the 2030 agenda for sustainable development and the SDGs. The G7 will hold discussions on the current development issues with the view of supporting vulnerable people left behind in crises, taking into account the concept of the human security and the human-centered approach. Responses to unfair development finance will also be discussed, and then areas such as gender, of course, and human rights and science and technology. So, of course, we need to gender, because remember, gender is a part of Agenda 2030 for many reasons, of course. Here's, you know, part of your Baphomet agenda in a sense, your one gender. But anyway, we're talking about the G7 summit because this is another one of these events, and this will be right before, of course, eventually, I believe it's in June, the Bilderberg meeting will take place, and everybody will get together, and nobody out there will have a clue because they'll be too busy being distracted by, oh, what's Miller Lite's newest ad? What's Bud Light's latest ad? Everyone's going, whoa, oh, is it right? Who can have a baby and who can't? Can a man get pregnant? Oh, and this is all the stuff that's going on. Instead of going, you know what? This is the stuff they claim that they're talking about. I would like, you know, especially since, you know, we know the surveillance state that we're living in, we'd like cameras in the room. So, you know what I mean? They always use the excuse, they're like, yeah, I mean, it's a threat to our national security, so we can't, you know, release the stuff with the spy balloon, remember all that, you know, show that was a psyop, obviously uncovered. They always are like, it's a threat to national security. Well, if all the leaders from all the countries are getting together, what's the threat? What's the national security threat? Oh, you mean the threat against you guys? Because the rest of the world would be able to hear. So the people that you have under your control, you know, the 50% of the population pretty much in every country that you have under your control because of my control, you would lose those people if they heard what you were actually discussing, right? Your actual plans. You actually let them know what the climate agenda was and Agenda 2030 was all about. Even though still they probably could sit there and be like, yeah, we plan on killing everyone by 2030. The people who follow that would be like, oh, okay, you know.
I am Bush Lonson. I'm a Los Angeles-based artist who creates skull masks and performs in smoke.
Cool. They would still be on board. They'd still be like, go Biden, go Trudeau. Woo, you got my vote. Love them. Oh, they don't really mean that. Come on. They mean a conspiracy theory. They don't really mean that. They're not really talking about that. I mean, they're just joking around, right? Yeah, they're just joking around. That's why everything in the world has gone to crap. That's why there's food shortages, there's outbreaks, wink, wink, all planned, of course. There's conflict. The government's pretty much turned to the population, calling the biggest extreme threat to the population the majority of the country, because the majority of the country is white. And then you actually have people who are white, who are agreeing with it. I mean, it's all pretty much, it's just politicized because, you know, obviously there's no way liberals are losing power because it's all controlled. The vote doesn't count. They're just trying to convince you that, you know, they put Trump in the position so they can go, look, he's the worst person in the world. It's obvious why the Republicans don't win, but everybody's miserable. Everybody hates one another. People can't even afford to get health care. People can't afford to get groceries. People can't afford heat in their home or air condition. You know, nobody can afford gas. Right? These are all things the government's supposed to do. Meanwhile, we're paying all this money in taxes. Tax rates have never been higher. They've made it so that you can't buy a home now if you want to buy a home because interest rates are so high, for those that don't know. Why are they so high? Because they want to keep you where you are. So anyone who wants to move out of a state that they don't want to be in because of the politics of the state, because it's, say you're in a blue state, which is a nightmare in general. I mean, I don't know why anyone would want to live in a state like California, but, they want to make sure you can't flee because you'll be able to get a mortgage to a little afford it, right? So these are all, things that the government is doing, and while they're doing all this stuff, they don't answer questions. They refuse to talk about any of it. They tell you everything's fine. It's really amazing. So the summit of the group of 7 wealthy democracies in Hiroshima will include 8 other guest nations, part of a complicated, high-stakes diplomatic gambit meant to settle the world's most serious crises. All, of course, caused by these same governments, by the way. I love how they just pretend they're like, we're going to come in and we're going to solve, all these issues. Of course, this started, created, by the way. And then the idiots out there think that these issues are actually happening because the people of the opposing political party. So, for example, in America, all the liberals are like, it's because of the Republican people. But then all the Republicans are like, it's because these liberal lunatics. Well, in reality, it is a lot of these liberal lunatics support the insanity. But, it's this, communist government that's been put in place, this rogue government, which is in place. So, Japanese Prime Minister, I might have tried to pronounce his name, Fumio Kishida, has invited South Korea, Australia, India, Brazil, Vietnam, Indonesia, Commerce, and the Cook Islands. So Kishida hopes the mix of countries will help efforts to stand up to China's assertiveness and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, according to analysts. He also wants stronger ties with U.S. allies and with developing nations, and to make progress on working toward a nuclear-free world. So that is the topic, a nuclear-free world. Now, most of us already believe it's a nuclear-free world, so what does this mean? Why would they be discussing something that doesn't actually exist? They're planting seeds, of course, because they want you to believe in the threat of nukes. And then when stuff starts hitting the fan, and you turn the news on, you'll believe whatever you see, of course. They have the ability to put Keanu Reeves' face on a regular guy's body and people to actually believe it. You don't think that they can actually make, a nuke look real on a TV? Have you seen some of the movies out there? It's beyond TV. All they have to do is just build this stuff and then they can hurt you the way they want to hurt you. Oh, there was a nuke in Chicago, or over here, right? And they probably set off some of their own bombs, and everybody thinks it's, everybody there doesn't really know what's going on, so they probably think it's a nuke because they see it on TV after the fact. Very easy stuff for them to do. Like wag the dog, right? It's very easy to create war. It's very easy to create fake news, right? They do it every day, and it's very easy to hurt society. So that's the topic for many reasons, because we're going to see or hear of a nuke. You can guarantee it in the next 10 years, depending on, what route they want to go with China and Russia. But it'll be here on American soil, the fake nuke. You can guarantee it. Because they will do, our own government will go after us, and they will hurt us the way they want to hurt us. Whatever their plan is, they have it in place, and they know that they need to mind control people. They need to seed pump. So they continue to just pump out all this stuff about nukes, because they want people to be fearful of nukes, and then they create the fake story. Everyone will believe it. They'll be like, Russia did it. Russia finally came after us. I knew it. Why did we let them come after us? Or, they're so big and bad. Meanwhile, your own government is the ones coming after you. Stop falling for the fake news, because it's all fake. So all the slime lords of the world getting together, well, the majority, I shouldn't say all of them. 90%. Right, so Russia obviously is not there, Ukraine's obviously not there, China's obviously not there. But, the slime lords, they get together, they do each one of these summits, and then they get X amount of slime lords to that one, X amount to this one, But they really have actual meetings where they do all get together. Although I'm sure at the G7, a lot of these guys are there, like Russia, China, like they'll call them in, you know what I mean? Instead of having them actually there, they'll just buzz them in on the phone. I'm sure Zelensky and Putin will be on the phone together, And you'll never hear about it, of course, because they just tell you what they we're supposed to believe what they actually tell us. It's unbelievable. Like, oh, this is what they're discussing. Oh, great. They're helping us out. They really are. That's wonderful of them. The food crisis. Why do we have a food crisis? We only ask the question of why and how we got to this point. Oh, the one-niner. Oh, that's why. Oh, okay. Oh, the war in Ukraine. Oh, that's why, right? Because they're the only place that produces wheat. Right. Unbelievable. These people are unbelievable. And it's more unbelievable. What is more unbelievable is that they get away with this stuff. It really is. It's unbelievable. Like, people actually believe the news. It couldn't be faked. All they're doing, again, is hurting people. And it's right in front of your faces. I mean, Hiroshima, wink, wink, discussing nukes, wink, wink. All they're discussing every day on both the liberal and the conservative media is the threat of a nuclear attack from Russia, right? Yeah. Sabotage. It's the word of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, it's the word of the last couple of years, and we'll continue forward. I thank you for being here. Hope you're doing well. God bless you and your family.